I'm just going to leave that right there. That's beautiful. So we have an in and out again. And hopefully we'll be able to get this resolved. What I've been finding out is when I'm thinking it's going in and out, it's not. It's actually still streaming, which is interesting. It tells you that it's out when it's not. So let me just get my headphones, make sure we got our output going, and we can get started. And I'll just pop back up. Live stream health is good. That's so weird, but you know when it looks like it's going down, I guess it's down for the streamers to be able to see it. Is what it does. Is it disconnects people and they have to get back on or to refresh or whatever. But, we'll see what happens. All right. So discombobulated this morning because, as you will see in un momento, I am under the weather. Oh, that's not me. It's my banner screen. One of my banner screens. There she is. Oh, my words. So, to get myself through this today, I am Maya in situ, your host for Elephant in the Room, Black Empowerment. Why in the hell do I have this mask on? Because my human body has succumbed to the mucuses and the virins. The virins are causing the mucuses. And as the late Dr. Sebi says, there's only these mucus. Well, the mucuses have attacked me. It's attacked my voice. I sound like I could sing an old Negro spiritual. Ain't nobody let me turn around, turn around, turn around. Those songs are so beautiful. What they say to me is the deep spiritual knowledge that although we are going through this, that we know our Creator will not forsaken us, will not keep us down, will keep us going. My oppressor is this virus. The virus is my oppressor today. The virus is my oppressor, but I will not let it take me down. No, 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 no. So, what I got here is a concoction I'm going to put together with you all. Blue Cup Special with hot drink in it from my water filter. Add a little bit more hot water that so everything can melt. Got my tea. It's supposed to be herbal because I got school and copyright. I'm not going to be advertising for too many people. You know what I'm saying? Because folks get all sensitive. I have a question, okay? So, with this new music ordeal and copyrights and all that, and don't play the music on your video and stuff, I find that so interesting because if I purchase the artist's music, right? If I purchase their music, so I patronize their business and I happen to be listening to the song in my background, dancing to it, whatever, because I purchased it, right? I bought it. I'm not selling it. I'm not soliciting it. Nothing like that. Honey, It's going in my concoction. This is my concoction has like a stopper to it, so I have to use my wine stopper, my wine extractor to get it out because it's up in there real good. You are gonna hear me coughing a little bit, but to keep me from coughing, I'm gonna put my concoction together so that I release my voice. Me personally, the remedy I use is I rinse my throat, salty water. I will use some of the over-the-counter concoctions, but to be honest with you, if you ever took a microbiology class or a biology class, you'll learn that viruses have no cure. All you can do is go over the symptoms. Hey, son, can you go get me my spoon I had in here and bring it in here to me? You'll learn that there are no cures for viruses. Bacteria we treat with antibiotics, but we've learned also that antibiotic overusage of antibiotic is what's harming us. Thank you, sir. My son doesn't want to be near me. I understand. Could you hand me the cinnamon too? So cinnamon's going to go in this concoction. It makes it quite sweet. I don't put too much because I don't want it to be too sweet. This is a good way not to use sugar because little be known to people. Cinnamonies, cinnamonies. Uh-oh, I just advertised. Cinnamonies. And add a little cinnamonies to it. We love the cinnamon on our French toast. But as I'm exploring diets, I'm learning there's a lot of stuff that I eat that I'm not going to be able to eat anymore as I make a trek into this vegan world. Because that's obviously the way that we're going to have to go if we don't want the people to kill us with this food and drug. Even though the FDA claims to know best, if anybody studies the proliferation of the FDA in its historical context, you will realize that everybody's about money, this construct of money. I remember having an argument with some folks on the block. This is when I used to stay off of um, the Lodge Freeway. Man, what was that street? Was it Indiana? It was one of those streets. And I was having an argument with the fellas that used to stay across the street from me. I think they was them PA boys, whatever they call themselves. And a lot of them used to be over there running back and forth. And I had an argument with one of them because we were talking about diamonds. And they was like, man, this diamond, blah, 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 blah. And I looked at the guy, and this is before I consider myself whatever people like to say woke. Oh, I guess I feel like I've always been woke. I've never been that person that just went along with anything. But I was talking to one of the guys, and they were, having a nice little friendly debate. And he was talking about diamonds and that diamond this and that diamond that. And I looked at him. I said, "How would you know what a diamond's worth?" He looked at me like I got plenty of ice at home. I said, "How do you know what you were sold? Was it false? Was it fake? Did you have a appraised?" And he looked at me. No, I ain't have it appraised. Any jewelry I bought, I took it to a second jeweler and had it appraised. But that doesn't mean that it's accurate either, because this is a network. But at least I did take it and have someone write on a piece of paper its value. He just buying out ice, bragging on it. It's ridiculous what we do and think that we right when we dead wrong. But anyway, so he says, just get my concoction ready, y'all, so I could talk to y'all in my deep voice, in my grandma voice. And put a little lime in it too. Little lime. Just a little bit acidic. Although we're learning that a more alkaline diet is better. But I've been buying some books to get myself into that mode. But my little home remedies and everything has been keeping me settled. Someone else shared this particular home remedy. I've been doing something else, but I tried this and it helped too. So thank you, my classmate who I'm working on a project with. Eduardo. Thank you so much for your help because it has helped me, but the virus still trumps on. So let me take a sip and see how it tastes. Needs be a little bit hot though. I like for it to be hot. Because if it's not hot, you're not melting away. Okay, so I'm pulling it together, y'all. This was a rough morning. I worked last night. I picked up a shift last night at my job, and It was pretty simple. We had quite a few patients come in, but it wasn't too bad other than the high norm. And this flu virus is kicking people, but you got an AN to be out here. You don't want option A, you gonna get option B. My last patient last week on last Thursday came in and I walked into his room. He said, "Oh, don't forget your mask." I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yeah." I said, I decided to take the vaccine this year. I usually don't do the vaccine because it's too variable. The percentage turnouts are low, so it's guesswork. The viruses are so prolific that you really can't hone in on the genome to be able to destroy anything. All you do is prevention. So it's so funny. After I left his room, I actually could feel the contagion creeping up into my mucous membranes. And so I went and washed my face out because usually when I leave rooms, I wash my face out, wash my face out, wash my hands real good. And a lot of times that handles it because it's so new that when it get up in there, you wash it out, do a saline flush of your nose or just a simple water flush of your nose, go in and out, get up in on mucus as far as you can go before it starts burning. Gargle your throat, rinse it out, spit it out. Usually good. This one was strong. So this one got up in me. Now I've been fighting it, but I've still been doing business as usual. The more you move around, the better. And actually, if you can evoke a fever on yourself, that's your body working in your favor. Let that fever take its path as much as you can stand it. Practitioners teach you to dumb down your fever, and that's to relieve your symptoms. And so it doesn't become too violent in your body to destroy your body. But we're talking about a system that's working for itself. Fever can become dangerous, but a lot of times you could let it work in your system for quite a while so it can do its job, which is create the environment that's so hostile to the virus or bacteria that it doesn't want to live or it dies. And then once it becomes weakened, because of the temperature change, that it doesn't tend to like, viruses and bacteria can live in certain temperatures. So anyway, once it gets too high, then that virus or bacteria begins to break down, and then your antibodies can do its job. That's the whole point of a fever. So a lot of people think, oh my God, I got a fever, I got to control it. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you should let that fever go ahead and do its job for a little bit before you get to attacking it and giving it medicine to go down. No, baby, I don't need to do that, but thank you. Because I didn't really show them like that. My baby's talking about sponsoring. We're learning about copyright. So anyway, that's my battle. I went to work, not feeling good, but I'm still getting through. You can't stop. You got to keep your body moving. That's the key. If you stop yourself, then the virus or the bacteria festers. You have other funguses and you have, oh God, what's the other group? You got your funguses, your viruses, your bacteria. It's one more group I'm forgetting, but I think of it. I guess your worms, your helmets. So anyway, I want to get to my topic though. I had to get through that, you all, because if I didn't start this, which I drugged myself out of bed, literally, literally. I was like, what's that one movie where the lady come out the screen, out the TV screen after people because they watched the video? Y'all know which one I'm talking about. I was that lady dragging myself out of bed in front of this. I hope I don't look too bad. I did put some oils in my hair, and I'm trying to stop from coughing all over the damn place. Talking to the people. Let me get one good cough in, and I think I'll be okay. Mm-mm. All right, that was the cough I needed. I coughed it right on up that mucus. There's some truth to what Dr. Sabi is saying. That mucus is something else, and usually is a byproduct of every single bacterial virus. Is that mucus, that plasmodium. More studies should be done, and we shouldn't dismiss these outside of the box thinkers because it's outside of the box that's gotten us anywhere where we're going. Okay, so I digress. So today's topic is multiculturalism, and so I have to go talk to GoDaddy because I paid they asses and they took my damn site down, and so now I got to go fight with they asses and find out what else do you want? What else is it that you want? Because you claiming like I didn't pay your asses and I did for my site. And I don't appreciate this mess. But I'm gonna talk to them. My doggone site ain't up. I go on, log on and look at it, and they're like, "Oh, your trial is up." Uh-huh. But I paid for 5 years. So we'll be talking to them to find out what kind of shenanigans they have going on. But trust and believe the site will be back up and do what I got to do to make it right, y'all. Excuse me. Y'all have to forgive me today. I'm working through something. Okay. So my topic today is multiculturalism. So I have to pull up this video for you all because I want you to watch this. And I found it to be a very interesting video because it will tie into one of my first videos I brought up, and that was about abuse in our community. And we deal with a lot of different abuses. And I believe the reason why we deal with so many abuses is because there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of hurt, and we're expressing that pain and hurt in various forms. Let me see if I can find it because it should be saved up on my history where I put it. See if I can find it real quick. But I want to play this video for you all so we can begin to discuss these thoughts that have come to my mind on why do we treat each other this way? Is my question. I watch a lot of videos, so reading videos, schoolwork, work, reading videos, schoolwork. That's what I do. I think I put it under my save though, didn't I? Let me see. Let's see if I can catch it on here. Shouldn't be that far down. Because I have to watch videos for my schoolwork, which is so cool because everything is about visual stimulation now. We've moved into a visual stimulation society, and so a lot of the things that we look for or want to learn about, we can find a video on, and absorb the information that way. Which visual is a good way to absorb information, but we have to get back to reading because some things are not visually available. Okay, it's not there. Some things are not visually available, and so you have to be willing to read to learn information that you're interested in. Here and see where I have it under my library. In one of my many libraries. I really didn't want to have to go to this email and this one because I forget a lot under here. On one for elephant in the room, I don't put as much under there for the purposes of me wanting to be able to find stuff easily. But I had the nerve to not save this video. I thought I did under here though. Oh yeah, maybe it's under watch later. Yeah. No. Did not put another watch later. Let me see if I put it under watch later. Okay, I got watch later on here. Maybe that's where I put it. And we got private deleted videos. YouTube is on a rampage. They like delete, delete, delete. Okay, so let's do something like that. Let's see. Huh, really? That's interesting. That is interesting. Mhm. Okay. Sorry, y'all. Let me find it. That's my fault. Well, like I said, I've been sick, so usually when I have my videos prepared for you all, it is a little bit better than this, but hey, you gotta roll with the punches. I'm sick, y'all. Feel sorry for me. I'm sick. Feel sorry for me. But anyway, just to describe the video, it's about a young lady who was dating a man, and he became extremely abusive to her. Now, again, this is not an abuse video. This is about multiculturalism because the couple, she said her background was Portuguese and African American, I believe, or African, and her boyfriend's background is a white dude, which I can't. Y'all know I can't stand that term white because what does it mean? What culture group is it assigned to? Just like black, same thing. What culture group is that assigned to? And even when you say Caucasian, that's supposed to mean from the Caucasus Mountains. Is that where most white people culturally are from? The Caucasus Mountains? Probably not. But we identify with these markers for ourselves because that's the tools that we're given. But if you really think about it, they don't describe anything. They don't describe where you come from. It doesn't describe the food you ate. It doesn't describe your philosophies, your spirituality. It just washes everything away, in my opinion, you know? And so we become bland. I'm white, you're black. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe in blackness because blackness has become a movement, it has become a culture, so to speak. But, honestly, when I look at the term whiteness, the only thing that comes to mind right now in my mind, and I'm sure a lot of people's mind, is privilege and domination and unfairness and racism. That's what comes to my mind if I'm gonna be honest about it. I look for this video. Um, and so as we move into this thing called multiculturalism, we're discovering some real serious things behind that about ourselves. When you talk about race mixing and you talk about, people in mixed cultural groups, it get real sensitive. People are not willing to open up and talk as much as they normally would when we start talking about black problems, black identity problems, and everybody's willing to run their mouth and talk. But when you start talking about multiculturalism, there is an actual shutdown. I think I'm getting close to this. I think I remember. I think I remember when I was watching that thing. But so we tend to shut down. But here's the irony of it all. If you look at the anthropology and the migration patterns of the human race, all we've ever done is mixed. Initially, it was mixing tribes, then we got separated by the ice age, and those who were lost came back, began to mix in again, and those that mixed in again, somehow some things have happened over time where we have separated ourselves as human beings. That's the whole point that I keep trying to come back to. This thing that we're fighting now with whiteness and blackness is a construct of the human mind. Human beings have created this divide, and this divide is so deep amongst us, almost like the leopard and the panther. Did you know that the leopard and the panther are the same speciation of beast? They're not different genetically, they're the same. So much so that they can actually make offspring together. That's the rule in biology. If you can make offspring together, then basically your species is of the same, your gene type is the same, and it's able to express with each other that you can procreate. So if two beasts or beings can procreate together, then that means that you are the same. I don't think we understand the biology of it. Sorry, y'all. Gotta give me another tea bag. Told y'all this one's gonna be rough, but we're gonna get through it together. Because in this life, nothing is perfect. Nothing is perfect in this life. Gotta roll with the punches. Gotta roll with the hand. The reason why I'm of a multicultural mind with a affinity to African spiritual truth is because even though we may so-called mix as so-called races, I think the principles of African spirituality and concepts and way of living are what we were originally from. It's some of our original creations, and we need to return to those concepts, and that's why we're destroying each other. So when I think of multiculturalism, if I can ever find this doggone video, now I'm gonna have to go search YouTube. Goodness, woman talks about abuse from boyfriend racist. Let's see what we get from my searches. I'm usually pretty good at finding it. Fortunately, there's so many subjects. Oh, I know what it was. Woman shows racist boyfriend on Facebook. I don't know if you all heard about this particular case because so many things happen. Yeah, here it go. I think I may have found it. Anyway, basically, uh, the reason why I talk about multiculturalism is because it's in my family. And I always have this saying that I say to people is that we usually don't care about things until it hits us close to home, right? So if it doesn't affect us, if you're in a family that's um, homogenous and there's not a whole lot of race mix and you don't think anything of it, you're like, yeah, you should date within your own race. And that's ridiculous. Why should you date outside of your race? For the purposes of what black people have gone through in this country, I definitely understand that argument. And a part of my mind is a separatist to a certain degree, if I'm going to be honest about it. If I am going to talk about the elephant in the room and be honest and not be shallow about it, a part of me does believe in separatism. But not everybody believes that. And so if you happen to have people in your family who have had multicultural relationships and mixed, and trying to see if this is a video. There was a particular group that did her interview first. Boyfriend, boyfriend, racist rant on Facebook. Let's try that. If you're the kind of person that has family like this, which again, I tell y'all all the time, look at my skin. Are you kidding me? I could go back 2 generations. Let's see, my mother, my grandmother. So my grandmother's mom was half white, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was her mom, but I'm pretty sure it was her mom that was half white. Um, and family don't really like to talk about a lot of things. But if I understand correctly, a lot of the land and things that we have in the family, are because of those unions. If I'm not mistaken, if I know the story correctly on my mother's side. On my father's side, I learned that my grandmother was born in Iowa, and what I know about Iowa is there's a lot of indigenous tribes that were there and have been displaced and moved around. And so when I look at her, just her phenotype and her mother, who when I was younger I used to braid her hair real down like this, 2 braids, Grandma Eva, and as a little girl I used to love to come over and braid her hair sometimes and play in her hair. It was just so long and pretty to me. And as she got older, she fell into Alzheimer's, and she um, I could just tell that obviously there was more than just African necessarily in her, African American. You hear so many groups talk about this. Trevor Noah is someone who I love to listen to because he's just so funny to me. And he talks about his life in apartheid Africa and how, because, I believe his father was German or some sort. I got to finish reading his book. I didn't get a chance to read all of it, but I did buy the book. And his mother's African, of a particular tribe, that it was illegal for them to be married and to be together. And the laws at that time made his life growing up hard. And, he makes light of it and talks about how he, got through it and he's done his comedy based upon it. But that has to come from a real place, you all. We got to start looking at this for what it is. Okay. And what brought me to this is when I was on Twitter, people reposted the story. Maybe that's where I can find it. And they were talking about, I really want y'all to see this video because it's her story. Um, they were talking about how, she knew what she was getting into, her bad, she's a bad witch, she's sleeping with the massa, and all these kind of things. And I heard these things and I thought to myself, what makes us different as African American people? If, for example, some children were made by the slave master, did those children have control over who fathered them, who mothered them? Did those children ask to be here? Well, it's just so deep to me. It's so deep, it's so layered because there's this hatred due to the fact that these things have occurred. This would have happened ooh, guys, what happened like 2 weeks ago. Um, the hatred that occurred because of that, because there was division, the master purposely separated his own children, even though he still kept them as slaves. Or even the master's mistress have an interest in some of the slave men there because they were fine, right? They looked good, their bodies were developed. All they did was work out. Can you imagine? Um, the body types of these men, when all they do all day is work out, work hard, and the development of their body. We know how our African men bodies can be just very built up, looking good. And okay, so should be after this. And so it's just so many thoughts that come through my mind when we talk about multiculturalism. How we view it, how we treat people. Um, how do we break that down? If you have Indian in your family, that's acceptable. That's not multiculturalism. That's just, I got Indian in my family. I remember being a kid, like that was a bragging right. Like, you got Indian in your family? I got Indian in my family. Look at her hair. And it was usually because of your hair. Your hair was the measure for Indian in your family, right? Or you got good hair. Look at your hair. You got good hair. We keep telling y'all we are becoming an oppressor, the oppressor. We don't even know it. We can't even see it. We're not happy to have our God given hair. You know, it's okay to wear weave. I've worn weave. I got wigs. I've had so many hairstyles. I'm not knocking anyone who wants to wear hair weave or wigs. But what I do knock is the reason why. Why do you do it? Do you do it because you're trying to cover up who you are? My reasons for wearing weave was not to cover up who I was. Never been that person. It's because I just like to have my hair different. I like the diversity of different types of hairstyles. Growing up in Detroit, Michigan, hair capital of the world, I like to say, before Atlanta joined the scene. Some people from Atlanta might argue with me now. And some other places might chime in, maybe LA and all these places, but I still call Detroit hair capital because we was doing a lot of different things with hair. Speaking of multiculturalism, right? And so when I think about this, when I'm really in deep thought, I'm really perplexed that I thought I saved this video and I'm frustrated now because that was the whole purpose of me seeing the video. 6% of my like videos. Um, and so, this thing is real deep and we're going to have to be able to unpack this. What's okay as far as multiculturalism? Is it okay when an Ethiopian mixes with a Nigerian? Kenyans and Nigerians sometimes don't tend to like each other. what the Kenyans feel that Nigerians have in their minds sold out. That don't mean that they have, but that's just a feeling that I've heard. You talk to people. Liberian Africans, they're not true Africans because they're those who came from the States back again and amalgamated into the continent. They're going through a hell of a time over in that country. That country has not been able to stabilize. As a matter of fact, they are my son's people, my oldest son. And so you think about these things and you think about where I can go. That's where it would be. And I responded to that. So anyway, they was calling the sister all kind of names. Yes, she was a sister. We're gonna go by the one drop rule. See, that's another thing. We pick and choose when the one drop rule applies. The one drop rule of black blood, so called black blood, when it applies. We don't want to look at ourselves. We don't want to see ourselves. We don't want to see that this colonization effort has damaged us so deep. We call each other names. We separate each other. We decide who's good enough and who's not good enough. And we do it all in the name of, I'm right, you're wrong. We don't want to see ourselves. It's a hard thing to see yourself. It's not an easy thing to see yourself, you know, because you're so busy. You're in a struggle, right? I'm struggling. My people out here, we struggling. We're fighting, you know. We got to get this white man off our back. Yeah, we do. But in the name of what? What sacrifice? I see queens as light as I am, but they have the darker lips. My lips are a little bit lighter, but they have the darker lips. I see my queens that have darker skin than mine, but more fine hair than myself, longer, wavier, a different curl pattern. They the ones with the good hair, right? The rest of us, if our hair is more woolly, more African-like, girl, I got to perm my hair because it ain't good enough. I don't think we see ourselves. I think we see what we want to see. If I really was going to think about this thing, I don't think we see what we've become, what we're doing to each other. It's sad to me. It makes me very solemn. I mean, I'm not feeling well today, but I'm not beat down like I can get out and do because I've been moving around ever since I started with this virus. But I think about these things. And I can't find a daggone video. I'm so mad. I wonder was it taken down? I don't know. Because maybe they're going through some kind of battle. Could be considered slander, right? When we're dealing with these kind of things. Sometimes legalities come into it because she did go on Facebook Live. Let me see if I can find it on Facebook. See if I can find it on here. Um, it could have been taken down because I don't see it. And I'm looking through my timeline. I'm up to February 7th. Okay. Let me see if I can continue to find it in my timeline because brother that I'm on Twitter with responded to it. And his comments were, and I told him I was doing this show today, and his comments were, what you got into. Which I disagreed with that because if you start calling the family names and separating us out, aren't we doing what the white man taught us to do? Again, when does the one drop rule apply and when doesn't it? How do we separate? How do we decide who's black and who's not? How do we differentiate? Well, she went and took a contract with the white man, so people were talking about Tiffany Haddish kissing the white man on the TV. She sold out. I don't know what we're going to become in the next decade, next 20, 30, 40 years, 100 years, another century. But we are becoming more separated than ever. I don't even really have to do any research tools to let you all know what kind of separations we have done with each other based upon what we learned from the colonizers and their spirit, the spirit that came over them of division, of hatred. I wonder if we had a chance to psychoanalyze some of these people. That opportunity is gone now. But if we actually had a chance to psychoanalyze these people, what would we find? What will we find about them? What will we discover? Will we discover that they had some serious mental issues that we would diagnose now in a certain way? Would they be bipolar, schizophrenic? Are they hearing voices in their head? I remember reading about this one condition. Let me look that up real quick. It was a condition where, because I can't find a doggone video. That's what I get for not saving it. I wonder if I emailed it to myself. I may have emailed it to myself. It was my last ditch effort. But um, I remember reading about a condition during slavery that isn't widely talked about, and it's basically where the term redneck came from. Redneck. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But the term redneck came from somewhere specific. Let's see if I can pull it up here. And I want to make sure I qualify this. It's called red man syndrome. Let me see. Okay. What is red man syndrome? And this one was more so talking about a lack of diet that was found. This one's more of an adverse effect to an antibiotic, but that's not what this one was. This one was this one is saying it's about a reaction to vancomycin to malnutrition. And the thought or oh here we go. Collagen. Let me see. So this particular site too many advertisements on out here when I have all these advertisements on it. It's talking about deficiency. It's called scurvy, which, if anyone knows anything about scurvy, this was a disease that befell upon the settlers because their diet wasn't good when they were traveling on the boats for a long time. They had limited access in their diets. By the time they got off the boats, they're very deficient in a lot of the essentials that they needed. Um, so you have bones that become loose and rigid, mostly sailors, long sea voyages, nutritional deficiency, and it took a lot of years before scientists came along to discover it. So they discovered eating high fruits with vitamin C, like limes, for example, would help them. So they would eat stuff like that eventually over time. Um, And so it goes on to talk about in America, the term redneck actually comes from a vitamin B deficiency that causes heightened susceptibility to sunburns. Um, and for a long period of time, the niacin deficiency, pellagra, will cause fatal problems. And so the American Indians were trying to help them solve this, and um, they rejected it. Now, get this. Now, we're talking about a high alkaline diet. So, this goes on to talk about, um, and here's another precursor. Corn that we eat today is not the corn that the Native Americans ate back in the day. It has been genetically spliced and changed so that the company that controls its seeding only sells one kind of seed. So the corn that you see today that's yellow was not the corn of the past. The corn of the past used to be multicolored and darker. So this yellowing corn is basically an albinism version of the original corn that we used to eat. So the corn that we eat is not good for us because it's not the original gene type of the corn that the Native Americans ate. And so the American settlers, it says, did not understand how to prepare corn. They didn't follow food preparation the way that the savages would. They would grind up the corn and consume it as corn flour. That's how people eat corn today: cornmeal, chips, foods. And so that's why we have higher incidences of diabetes. And now we use corn. This is one book um, that I had. I'll have to look it up and I'll type it in the comments that talks about HFCS, high fructose corn syrup. I had to read it in a biology class. And it talked about how we have changed the way that we flavor food, the way that we sweeten things. Honey and cane sugar used to be the way. And cane sugar was processed a certain way. Now it's bleached. Everything is bleached. And we've kind of messed up our food in a lot of ways. But how does this go back into multiculturalism? Well, multiculturalism teaches us that because different, speaking about that redneck syndrome, because different, and I once I find out, I always put things back in the comments that I talk about, as far as you can link on it and look up yourself. But as far as multiculturalism, when groups of people circumnavigate the earth and they run into each other and they begin to trade with each other, boy meets girl, right? You can't help who you're attracted to. When you see somebody, you might be like, ooh, their pheromones break off on you, and next thing you know, you connected. We don't understand that attraction is deeper than just um, what the eye can visually see. There are chemicals inside your body that are processing while you're attracted to someone. Um, Professor James Small brought that up in one of his lectures, video lectures that he talks about. And why do you think, men and women are attracted to each other? We're attracted to each other because there is a deeper um, genetic chemical connection that attracts us to each other, because if that's the case, you would be attracted to every single woman that you see in a room, and that's just not true. You're attracted to one person. That one person you zoom into, like, ooh, there they go. That's the person that I want, right now in this moment, I want to be with for the rest of my life. But there is a law of attraction there. Okay. And so multiculturalism is bound to happen. um there is, and there never has been, maybe when at the very origins of us, there's more of a pure genetic version of us. But we haven't been able to find it, because it could be buried under, a lot of rock and silt. Because this earth has changed. It's noted by the geographic community that all of the continents were merged and fused at one point, and they slowly began to expand and break apart and create the continents that we know now. But the landmass was all one. For those of you who believe in spiritual dogma, we know that that's true because the Creator, God, Yahweh, as you like to call him, formed the landmass, formed the waters, formed the air, formed the earth, right? And so all these things over time, as far as human beings trying to describe how we came here, um, goes deep, and it's embedded into how we look at each other, how we choose to deal with each other. And if I just talked to someone last night actually that came in to the facility I work at, and they were talking about the gentleman asked me a question. I guess he just looked at me, he looked at my locks, and asked, "How do you feel when you see white people basically dancing to our music, dancing like us?" I said, "Well, honestly, it's two-sided." I said, "Are they really appreciating the music, and they feeling it, and they feel it inside their body, and that's what's moving them. They're moving in a way that their genetic information is telling them to move, or are they looking to gentrify? Are they looking to take and transform and ignore where it originally came from?" It depends how that person is trying to use it. Are they appreciating it for what it is? Or are they trying to arrest it and develop it into something that it was never meant to be in the first place? If you take something and you modify it and make it better, but you give homage to its original source, that's different to me than if you take something and make it seem like it was yours all along. And that's one of the biggest fears I believe as Black people that we have, is that we've seen it happen time and again, especially in our music, especially in our creative sources, that we'll share with people, like the Native Americans shared with people, and those people don't appreciate you as the human being that you are, and they never meant to share in the process with you. They only meant to temporarily satisfy a need so that they can take what you have, change it, and make it their own and dismiss you. Isn't that what Thomas Edison is? A lot of people call Thomas Edison a great inventor, but the reality is Thomas Edison was a patent major. He beat people to making the patent a lot sooner. Isn't that what the woman who's going through the Matrix is dealing with, who is the creator of the Matrix and Terminator? These people who she trusted, who she shared her ideas with, took her ideas and made millions of dollars and didn't want to share it with her at all or even give her name on the marquee. They want to make it their own. That's what make us fear multiculturalism. If we want to really get to the root of it, the elephant in the room of it all is that um, we are afraid. It's something that's rooted in fear. We're afraid that if we share ourselves, if we give of ourselves, the same thing keeps happening over and over again. And some people will say, "Well, see, that's exactly what I mean." Yeah, you're right. We share with these people, and they come in and they just take over, and they act like it's theirs, and they don't know how to share. They're evil. They're devils. A small percentage of them are. That's the other elephant in the room. A small percentage of them, their minds aren't right. Uh, they're not right inside. But a lot of this gets back to um, nutrition, ironically enough, which is something I'll be focusing on as I go along on myself and on others. Um, Dr. Sebi says we eat too much. I can believe that. The concept of 3 square meals a day, but your human body can go 30 and 60 days with the proper fluid retention without solids. Are we sure about those 3 square meals a day? These are just things that have to be reevaluated. I'm not saying throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm saying that we need to reevaluate what we consider health, what we consider nutrition, what we consider um, who we are as people. Again, how does this fall into multiculturalism? Because it's fear. It's all rooted in fear. It's fear that um, if we continue to share, my battery's running low. If we continue to share with people, that they will deceive us, rob us, and take the creative forces and make it their own and not give us any credit or any compensation for what we have done. And those are real things. I'm not about to sit here and pretend like those things haven't happened. Those things have happened in time. So, for example, if two races mix, right? Maybe the black family has been more accepting. I'm gonna just have to do the numbers like they are. Okay, we are more accepting than the white race. Period. I don't care what nobody say. I don't care. People say, I don't care if you're black, blue, purple, or orange. There are no black people. There are no purple people. There are no orange people. Okay. So that's how I know your mind ain't right. The reality is we call people black, white, red, yellow, right? Those are the four colors we like to group people up into. Asian, Africans, Europeans, and maybe Indian, we like to say. But what does that really mean? It's just every time I open my mouth and speak an English word, there's corruption in it. And that is a serious thing. Every time I open my mouth and say an English word, there's corruption. I remember when I was watching the Amistad movie years ago, because that's how we try to relay messages right through movies, right? That's we've already established that. So I was watching the Amistad um, movie, and it was one part in there that really stuck out to me. And the young man that was trying to assist, you know, one of the leading characters was explaining to him that we're going to try to do this, but they may not necessarily do it. He said, "Try? What do you mean?" He was trying to explain to him in English. He's learning English from his native tongue. He had been forced to learn the English language, and there's still a lot of things he couldn't understand about it. And he was saying to him, "Well, we're going to try and basically manipulate this thing, blah blah blah." And the guy was like, "Well, try. Either you can or you can't." And the man looked at him. He said, "No, you have to understand, basically, in my language, we don't have those in between words. It's either you do or you don't." That's powerful. In his culture, there was not to say that there wasn't an in between existing, but they didn't deal in that. If a person said they was going to do it, they did. And if they couldn't, they didn't, or they won't, or cannot. It was no wishy washy. If you look at the English language, the way the English language is designed, you have what we call colloquialisms, which makes our language hard. It's not a literal language. It's a language that's borrowed. We have a lot of other languages built into our language, so it's a hodgepodge of languages. If any of you ever have an interest in language, I'm telling you, studying linguistics is a very interesting thing. As you study the etymology of words, you'll learn that, especially in the English language, that these words were usually created for the purposes of manipulation, for the purposes of trying to reach a goal. So we make up a word. Well, let's make up this word and put it into law, and then now we can operate this way. Hence, white, black. Those words are constructs as far as it's considered for race. If you ever want to know about that, if you watch the Philippe Shock Matthews show on YouTube, he actually had a lady on there who she talked about the creation of white, I believe is within the title. Um, the creation of white. It was actually a creation that no one was considered white before a particular moment in time. People refer back to their country. I am Maya from the Americas, or Maya of the United States. I'm not African American. I'm Maya of the United States, or Maya of the Detroit clan, or Maya of the Joy Road tribe, right? That's where I'm from. Or Maya of the Howard family, right? That's where I'm from. That's who I am. And so when you talk about your family and your attachment to your tribe, your clan, your nation, that's how it was. But America, KKK, has ascribed these legal terms to us under the illusion that that is who we are when it is not who we are. So when you talk about multiculturalism and all these people mixing, we're in America, right? Where people come from other countries. So that means we're going to meet other people. We don't stay secluded in our own little corners. Although it's been studied and true in sociology that people tend to like to live around who they identify with culturally, but it still doesn't stop us from traveling the lands, moving about, getting to know other people, and especially in this um, climate of desegregation, Um, um, you're going to see a lot more of that. What are we talking about? The United States is becoming so-called melting pot, as they like to call it, but it's becoming more brown instead of white, right? More brown. What does that mean? The Latino population, who ironically has been had the luxury of identifying as white, African American, Asian, American Indian, or Native Alaskan, or other. Those are usually what I see when you're trying to identify people in the American system of everything, right? Medical, Social Security office. You got all these subcategories that America has created that when people are in their home country, they don't really identify in that same way. But it's a construct. If you're at all interested in how multiculturalism came about, you would begin to research and find out where did these terms come from, who created them, and why. Once you understand that, then you begin to understand the landscape in which you're traveling. You begin to understand where this hate is coming from. You begin to understand why we don't like these people. Or oh my gosh, she's going with this guy and he's not of her race. She needs to stick with her race. Those are all mental constructs that we don't even understand why we're doing it. And in our ability to gain our pride back, our Africanness back, our land that was stolen from us, that was raped and pillaged and still is being raped and pillaged as a continent, being told that they're shithole countries, but yet you still have a presence over there. You have an embassy over there, and you are trying to gather the minerals and the precious elements from over there so that you can get what you want out of it. Gold's the element, silver's the element. The one material that says cell phones from the Congo. All these things that you're taught that it's nothing over there. They just hut mud people, right? But when you go over there, you see these resorts and these people that call themselves white under the umbrella of Russian or German or American, which American is a weird term because when we say American, a lot of people think of the people from the United States. But American is a continent. America is a continent, right? North, South America, Central America. Canada is a part of North America. We don't think about that. We call them Canadians. But that just goes to show you a play on words. That's what I'm trying to get you all to see. Words. They're just words. KRS-One talked about that, and partially in the video that I put up here. Just go listen to KRS-One on his one video about words. What am I saying? What's a bird? I love the way he said that. What's a bird? A bird. Bird. D. Why did I say d? Why did I say that? Why did I refer to that as a bird? Would the bird say that it's a bird? What would the bird call itself? And even further than that, what would the creator call a bird? Because it's not bird. And in other languages, it's not bird. So what really is a bird? What really is a human being? What are we? Who are we? Why are we here? What are we doing? Do we even know what we're doing anymore? It's like Alice in Wonderland. You've gone down a rabbit hole so deep to the point where you don't even know where you are anymore. Where am I? What reality am I in? What's going on? What am I supposed to be doing? What was I just saying? What's it all about? So when I see my brothers and sisters go on, and this young lady is going on Facebook to talk about, you may be able to find it on your own. If I can find an interview, I'll copy it into the comments. But you're realizing, hopefully, in this conversation, you're realizing, what am I talking about? What am I doing? Why do I refer to these things in which I refer to them? Where did I get it from? Who taught me? And what was their motivations? Why did grandma used to tell me, don't bring no nappy head girl home? Why did she say those kind of things? What did that mean? These things go deep. These things that we've created for ourselves and call them gospel truths. Are you willing to really unpackage them and look at why you believe what you believe in? I am a separatist to a certain degree. And the reason why I'm a separatist is because I want to separate myself from the poisonous people, from the people that want to do something. I tend to have an affinity towards those who want to get back to the Africanism in us. Al Lebanon, Ethiopia, all these names in which we refer to that beautiful land from where we all are from. The land that gave in abundance, the land that survived the ice age and still was producing. There's something special about that land. It's a connection to us. We don't speak in the vibrational tones in which we used to speak. We don't speak in our mother tongue. We've lost it over time, adopting other cultures because they seem fun or safe or different. But we've come away from our original way of life. And because of that, we are killing each other and we are dying. And the planet is rejecting us. The planet is trying to do everything it can to get rid of this virus that we have become. We don't jive with the animals. If any of y'all believe in the Bible, right? You say that animals talk to the animals. What happened? If you believe in the Bible to be the literal truth of God, and it's spoken that in the beginning, when man was created, man had domain over the fowl and the beast and everything that crawleth on this earth. If we understood it because we spoke the language of God, those things don't talk to us anymore. As a matter of fact, they run from us. Every now and again, you see a video with a leopard or a lion that has been raised up with us, close to us, and the person go back and that lion sees them and runs up to him and hugs them. Beautiful videos, beautiful. And we cry inside because we say, oh, I wish I could hug a lion. I just want to touch the fur of a gorilla. Can I just rub the scales of an alligator? Some people may say, you're talking crazy as hell, Maya. What is you talking about? No, I'm just saying, if you really think about it, if you could sit and talk to an alligator to find out what it knows, one of the oldest living creatures on this planet that has survived almost it all, found a way to survive it all, is the alligator and crocodile. They've lived the longest so far that we know of, besides the primates. And even to this day, they live into the hundreds of years. How? You can inject a crocodile or alligator with a virus, and it won't do nothing to them. They can grow back a limb. What? They can do. Wait, what? Think about that. Its arm gone in about a year. That arm is back. Hmm? Snakes grow up out of their skin, so they born into a skin, and you look at the shell of what they were, and that skin is back. Reptiles. We just say, "Oh, that's just God being awesome." No, boo boo. You got to go along the biological model of what we've learned. You trace these things back, and they're all relative. They're all relative. I heard a teacher say every element in this earth is in us. It's small amounts, but it's there. So within us, we might have a little bit of every element that's naturally occurring, not the man creation ones or ones that have fused together, the original, most pure of the elements. We have some version or form of it in us, or we could tolerate some form or version of it in us at a certain level. What does that tell you? So again, I ask you, what is multiculturalism? What is that? Do I believe in preserving cultures? Yes. It's important. It's important to know your family traditions, and sometimes it's important to keep those traditions. But we have to begin to ask ourselves these questions when you berate people, when you tell them you are not pure. You're not a pure race. Can somebody show me who is a pure race? Who has no mixture of any other tribe in them, living and walking on this planet to this day? I give you all the money in my bank account because you can't find them. You cannot find them. There is no such human being on this planet that does not have a multicultural dynamic or breakdown or marker, tracing them from one area of the land to another. Geneticists have been able to kind of track down these markers, these types that they've labeled. Again, labels, right? They've been able to label, oh, this one shows that you express this phenotype. This one shows that you express this phenotype. But then it gets complicated because we've been mixing and mixing and mixing and mixing and mixing due to choice, due to not so much of a choice, due to rape, due to pillage. We've mixed. Who among us is pure? Please step up and let them do your genealogy. Please let them do a genetic test. Who among us? You can't even find it in the animal kingdom hardly because of evolution. Changes over time. Well, this one came, they were this at first, but then, due to biological environmental changes, they became this. We do not know anything anymore. We have become extremely ignorant. We've allowed the ignorance of the colonizing mind to take us over, and we are emulating that colonizing mind. Manifest destiny lived out to realization. Willie Lynch syndrome lived out to realization. These people had ideas. Napoleon Bonaparte. All these people had ideas of world domination. Caesar. All these people wanted to dominate the world so that the world would revere them and look at them as gods. And because of their conquests, we all have suffered because we let one person tell us to be something that's so perverse and so awful. So, my answer to this multiculturalism debate is it is also a construct. It's a figment of your imagination. It is a tool used to keep one set of people down and another set of people up. And it's not being used in the proper sense. It is a perverse, it's a perversion. Everything we believe now to this day, unfortunately, is a complete and total perversion with negative undertones. And I don't know if we're brave enough to change it. I don't even know if we're strong enough to change it. I don't even know if we're aware enough of it to change it. But this is just one woman's thought, how I see it. The elephant in the room to me. So I'm going to wrap this up. I put the research items of what I talked about in the commentary so you can understand where I got some of this from. And I hope if any of you are dealing with this oppressive virus like I am, that you conquer it. Stop playing the conquer mind. Thank you for this show. Thank you for coming and walking with me today. I hope to see you next week in better spirits. Talk to you then.